She died in my arms. The woman who gave me life, the woman who was my everything. And now she was gone. One of the workers told Vilma something that just broke my heart more than what it was already. They had broken my mother's leg as they placed her body in the coffin. They broke my 72-year-old mother's leg, but they will not let me keep her there. They gave me two options. Option one, transfer her remains to another cemetery in the Philippines. Option two, transfer her to a city owned crematorium. A crematorium is a place where they cremate the remains. You believe that they want me to cremate my own mother, my own flesh and blood that almost died having me? I will never, ever do this. This is not right to do this. Never. My mother deserves to rest in peace, like God in heaven intended it to be. She deserves dignity. She deserves a proper burial in the Philippines, a place where she can stay forever in Bel Air Public Cemetery, where they do not have no release and they have no limits. And I want to transfer her there. My mother died in the Philippines after she was refused medical help. Now her grave will be dug up and destroyed unless I can save it by the end of August. Please help me now. The link is in the description. This video was very hard for me to make because it's so personal. My mother was the only family I had in the world, and she had never been outside the United States until I brought her to the Philippines in 2017. Before I tell you what happened, I need to say something very important to the Philippine people of the Philippines. I know you personally have big hearts. I've seen Filipinos' compassion with my own eyes. And I've seen Filipinos help strangers without asking for anything in return. I've seen the beauty of the Philippine hospitality with my own eyes, and I felt it deep within my heart in person. That's what I'm about to tell you hurts me so much deeply inside, because the people who hurt my mother were not representing you. They were not showing the Philippine values I came to know and love so very, very much. The whole reason why I brought my own mother to the Philippines in the first place. They chose greed when most Filipinos would have chosen compassion and care. They chose cruelty when most Filipinos would have chosen kindness and love. The Philippines is the only place I truly feel safe, and it's the only place in the entire world that I'm proud to call my home. That is why I brought my mother there. But I'm here to call out some who forgot what it means to be a true Filipino. This is my mother's story, and the way she died in my arms was not God's will or plan. It was the choices that people made. The people had a free will, and they chose not to help and not to care. I'm going to tell you the whole truth. I won't hold anything back. In May of 2015, I made my first trip to the Philippines by myself, and it impressed me so much and it touched my heart so deeply that I cried when I had to board the plane back to the United States. But I had to. My mother needed me. I stayed in touch with my mother each and every day. I was in the Philippines for 30 days. And when I got back, it was all I talked about to my mother. I showed her YouTube videos and different things to show her out it. And in 2017, my mother and I made the decision that would change our lives forever. We decided to sell our house in North Carolina and move to the Philippines for good. We gave away what we could and we could not sell. And my mother put her pickup truck and her car in storage along with other personal things that we couldn't take with us. And my dad had passed away in March of 2012. It was just me and my mother. And that was all. All we had was each other. We sold the house and we split the money 50-50. My mother had her money since she had her Social Security from being retired. And I had mine. And we were partners. We were equals. A few years before that, I had met a beautiful Philippine woman named Vilma. And we fell in love at first sight because I prayed for Vilma and God of heaven answered all my prayers with her. Now, my mother cared about Vilma too. And she saw how happy Vilma made me. We decided together after praying, me and my mother made the move to the Philippines for good and start a new life with Vilma in the Philippines. We arrived in November 2017 at 11 a.m. Philippines time at Nicoy International Airport, where Velma and her mother and her cousin and her sister and her niece was waiting for us. My mother had never been outside the United States in her entire life until this trip. She was born in January 1949. She was 68 years old. This was her great adventure. We were full of hope and full of dreams. We thought we were starting a beautiful new life in the Philippines. Before I tell you what happened to my mother, I need for you to understand who she really was, what kind of heart she had. My mother had the biggest heart of anyone I've ever known. Let me tell you about three true things that happened in the Philippines about the kind of person that she was. The apartment we went to that I had stayed there before when I first come to the Philippines back in 2015. And this was the first time that Tony, the owner, ever met my mother. And she found out somehow that his sister wanted some cherries for some kind of health benefits. And my mother did not know Tony's sister, but out of the kindness of her heart, my mother went on a journey for cherries for this lady. And she found them when me and Velma and my mother went to Market. And she paid about 700 pesos a kilo for a bag of cherries to take back to Tony's sister. And one day my mother was on Facebook and she saw a post from a young Philippine girl. The girl said she was going to take her life for some reason. My mother didn't know this girl, never talked to her before, they had never met. But my mother reached out to her and she talked to her for hours. She convinced the girl not to give up, not to take her life. She saved that girl's life and she's still alive today. A complete stranger, a Filipina girl my mother had never met. My mother saved her. And they were supposed to meet each other, but my mother passed away before this happened. And it broke the Philippine girl's heart. This was what the young Philippine girl wrote to me 11 days after I posted about my mother. She had died on Facebook. She said, your mother helped me a lot, too, spiritually. She saved me. She didn't know about it. I almost took my life, and she was the one who told me not to. She was there when I needed her the most. I love her so much, just like my real grandmother. My mother didn't even know she had saved this young Philippine girl's life. And she passed away not even knowing all the goodness that she done to people and what they affected their lives. She was just being herself, kind, passionate, caring, with a heart of God of heaven. And she saved a life. Another time we was at the Landmark Shopping Center. We just walked outside waiting for the grab ride to go back to the house in Terravira. As we just got groceries there and had finished eating at the food court inside, and we walked outside to sit on the bench outside waiting for the grab ride to get there. And I noticed a guy walking up the sidewalk. He had a dirty shirt and shorts and no shoes. And he would stop at various people, Philippine people sitting on benches down from us. And he was rubbing his stomach to say he was hungry. But most people didn't pay him no mind and was eating their food and drinking their drinks like it didn't matter to them. But when he walked to where we was, and my mother looked at me and I looked at my mother, and she stood and talked to the guy, and she and the guy walked in the mall. She grabbed his hand and they walked past the security guard into the food court. My mother told me afterwards, when she came back out of the landmark, what she did. That she went to Jollibee and got him some food, ordered what he wanted, and she gave him some money. She told me he was so happy that someone cared enough to help him. And she was the only one who would help him out of all the Philippine people he walked by before he got to my mother. Even at the housing development, and where we was being scammed in that house in Terraville Homes by the owner. I will tell you about that in a moment. My mother was kind to those guards before they got some new guards. She was good friends with them, talked to them about all kinds of things. And while at Landmark there, she bought the guards a watch and a whistle for each one of them. There were about 5 of them, as I recall. Oh, they were so happy. She was kind to people she didn't even know up and down Congressional Avenue. She didn't have much to start with, but her heart made the difference. This was my mother. She helped Philippine people. She talked to them every time she could. And she loved the Philippine people. She gave up everything in America to come there, the Philippines, to be happy and to have a good life. I will remind you again, it was the very first time she had ever been in the Philippines in her life. As you can see in the following video, where the water is leaking down the wall towards the meter in this room, and this is, I'm thinking the meter outside shorted out from this. Because when the worker from Morocco pulled the meter out, it was so rusty that the terminals fell off the meter. And we had to pay for something that wasn't even our fault. Morocco, the electric company, charged us 20,000 pesos just to fix that outside meter. They shouldn't have been broken in the first place. In total, you can see the receipts of what they charged us that we shouldn't have had to pay for to be fixed in the first place. But some landlords cannot be trusted, because they don't do the upkeep on the properties they rent out. That was half of our money gone. The dream didn't last long. It was becoming a living nightmare very quickly. We rented a house in Terravera Homes too, as you can see in the picture, in Tango Sedora, Quezon City. And the only reason we took this house because it was completely furnished. As you can see in the pictures, it had TVs and couches and everything, beds. The only thing we bought was a used gas electric stove so Vilma could cook and bake, because that's what she wanted. This house was a terrible nightmare. And it even leaked in the master bedroom as I was trying to sleep and the water started dripping in my face. I thought Vilma was having some fun while I was sleeping. But it was coming from the ceiling up above me. The living room leaked. Every time it rained in the corner, they had to put a bucket there. And it rained so hard that it flooded in the living room, as you can see in the video. The electric wiring was so faulty and dangerous it would short out the lights in the house. And we told the owner, but he didn't care. We had trouble with one of the neighbors as the water was leaking off the house close to the washroom, as you can see, leaking on her flowers. And she put a note on the gate, and we sent the note, as you can see, to the owner. He didn't care. And even when I went to pay the rent at the bank, the deposit, it would be closed, and I would have to take a picture and send it to him, as he did not believe me. Because he always had his niece to contact me through Instagram or Facebook for the rent. And you can see the receipts of when they came to fix the roof, because of the living room was flooded, and how much money they wanted us to pay. And this hurt Vilma as well, and she was so disappointed in how they were treating us. But what could she do? And this caused my mother to go into a deep depression like I've never seen before. Because every time we turned around, they wanted money from us to pay for something that wasn't even our fault. And they took advantage of us. And this was not right. As you can see in the screenshots where my mother is talking to the Philippine girl, the girl who she saved her life before. My mother even told the Philippine girl about what was happening to us in that house. My mother explained everything that was going on in that house and how the owners were treating us and taking advantage of us. That girl said, that's absurd. They can't do that. But they was doing it and getting away with it. She knew what my mother was going through, and Vilma did too. And she witnessed it. But what could the Philippine girl do? She was only 20-something years old at the time and far away. We had sold everything we owned in America. And we were on the verge of losing everything that we put into storage before because we couldn't put it in our suitcases, so we put it in storage. We couldn't pay the bill because they were scamming us in that house. So they took everything away from us. And we tried to explain to the storage place what was going on, but they didn't care. We had come to the Philippines with hope and great expectations, and we were being scammed left and right by these people who owned this house. And no one seemed to care. My mother was so much more happier when we went to Bel Air, Aurora to see Vilma's family and her mother and spend time there with the family and even go to the malls or visit her friends in the area. Anyway, My mother was so happy just anywhere away from this house. Just anywhere she could go to get away from it. She was happy. As you can see and hear in this last clip of my mother's last birthday, how she had so much on her mind because the way they was treating us in the house. We was renting in Tango Sador, and you can hear the depression in her voice so much. And I was trying to make her so happy because this was her birthday. But I had no idea it was her last one.
I was saying after on the porch, I hope he don't bring me no cake.
Why?
Because
It's his birthday. It's your birthday.
I know it's my birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday. It's like Jollibee. Come on, make way, blow a candle. Do some blowing on me. Whee! In June of 2021, something happened that would change everything. As you would think, it could not get any worse as it was, but it did. My mother went outside to wash her hair in the sink in the washroom, and I went downstairs because I didn't know she was outside, and to see my mother because I had to ask her something. So I went to her room and I seen her out there washing her hair because you could see the washroom from her bedroom. So I seen Vilma outside, so I proceeded to go out to the carport where she was, and I seen my mother standing on the carport of the house, and she was combing her hair. And I asked my mother why she was outside. She said it was hot in the bedroom, and she was bored playing games on the phone, and she didn't doing anything else, so she come out to wash her hair, so she would feel cooler from the heat because it was hot that day. So I didn't think nothing of it, so I went back upstairs to my room. About a couple minutes later, here come Vilma running up the stairs and said my mother fell on the carport. And I was shocked. So I hurried down the stairs and Velma right behind me, and I go out on the carport. And my mother is in a seated position, just like you see in the picture. Somehow she fell backwards. She landed on her spine. She was on the asphalt carport. She said she went to sit down in a chair and missed it. I asked her, and she said she couldn't get up. So I picked her up and set her in the chair on the carport, and I asked her if she could walk. For to which my mother said she could not. So I stooped down and I backed up to her and asked her to put her arms around my neck. So I backed up to her and she put her arms around my neck, and I carried her piggyback on my back to her bedroom so I could lay her on her bed. Velma opened the doors, the gate to the kitchen and everything, the door, and I carried her all the way down the hallway to her bed. And then Velma opened the door and I backed up to the bed and laid her on the bed, and I took her shoes and socks off, and she told me she wanted to rest a while. I didn't know at the time the extent of my mother's injury, but I knew one thing. She needed medical help as far as I could see. And we needed help. And we needed a doctor, and I needed to find some way to get one to that house to help her. Now, 4 doctors lived in the housing compound where we was. And how did I find this out? From an elderly Philippine gentleman who lived just a couple blocks from us around the corner. And he told me lots of things about the house and the owner. And I used to talk to him at the gate before I went out, was going to the store. And I would run into him at the SM Cherry when I went to the store to get some things for Vilma and my mother. And he was always so friendly to me. He'd come up behind me and tap me on the shoulder, and we'd stand in the store and talk a little bit before he had to get back home. Now, before I walked to those doctors' houses in the housing compound, I went and asked the lady next door. You know, the one who complained about the water on the flowers. As I've seen on the letter heading, she wrote that she worked for the Philippine Heart Center because she wrote it on a piece of stationery from there. And I remember this woman being in uniform when I talked to her last time. So I went to her and I asked her, could she help or knew anybody that could? And to my disappointment, she said no. And so I left disappointed from what she said to me, heartbroken. So I proceeded to walk through the neighborhood, going to the doctors, the 4 doctors right there in the same place we lived. And I went to each one of their door to door. I walked up to the first house and I knocked on the door and I pleaded with him. I said, please help my mother. She's hurt. She's in pain. Will you please come to the house to see her? He said no. So I proceeded to go to the next house where the doctor was, and he said no. I went to the third one, and he said no. I went to the 4th doctor, and he said no. 4 doctors and a lady that worked for the Philippine Heart Center, every one of them refused to help. My mother was lying in pain, and they all said no. This was not God's will or his plan. And he was watching everything of how we was being treated and how those people done us. This was not fate. These were people with a free will that could show compassion and love towards someone, and they chose not to help or to be kind or compassionate toward another human being at all. And that was their profession. And they could have helped, but they chose not to. And my mother had to lay in pain and suffering because of their choices, because they chose a profession to help people. But when I come to ask them for help, to come to ask help my mother, they refuse to do it. For 2 months, my mother suffered in pain, crying for help. Vilma and I took care of her together. The best the 2 of us knew how to do. We did the best we could. We fed her. Vilma would cook the food, and I would feed her just like a baby. We'd bathe her. I'd put her in the shower, and Vilma would wash her hair and everything. We made sure my mother had clean bed clothes and everything. I stayed by her side. I was in a room with my mother. I was sitting and sleeping in a chair just in case she needed anything. Night or day, I was right there. It was all the help she had. She didn't have nothing else. Of course, certain members of Vilma's family, they knew about it. They visit the house and seen my mother sitting in a wheelchair. And they chose to do nothing. They wouldn't even talk to her. I didn't eat for 3 weeks. I didn't get much sleep either. I couldn't. My mother couldn't get up. She was in constant pain. And we watched her decline day by day, watching the woman that gave me life. Vilma was there with me through everything. She helped me care for my sweet mother. She fought for us the best she knew how to do. She could not make people help us when they didn't care. She couldn't make those doctors come to the house. It broke her heart. So many pieces got the way they was treating us, and there was nothing she could do. We did everything we could, but it wasn't enough. It just was not enough. It was not enough. September the 6th, 2021, I went to wake up my mother. It's around 9:30 a.m. Philippines time. I leaned down to wake up my mother up. And to my surprise, she reached up and put her arms around me. She whispered in my ear. Her last words to me were, "I'll see you when you get home." She was talking about heaven. She died in my arms. The woman who gave me life. The woman who was my everything. And now she was gone. I went in the kitchen where Vilma was cooking. And the cats were eating their food on the floor. And I told Vilma my mother was gone, and she could not believe it. And she came in the bedroom, and she started crying, and we cried together. Vilma and me were so heartbroken because nobody would help her. She didn't deserve to die that way. But nobody cared. After my mother died, the guards called the administration of the housing complex. And she called the funeral home that I knew nothing about. As my mother's death was a total shock to me and Vilma. And I took her body to the funeral home in Quezon City. I'm not naming the funeral home for legal reasons, but I have all the documentation to prove what they did was true. They kept my mother's body in a freezer for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. They charged us 20,000 pesos for the funeral. And on the day of the funeral, 3 weeks later, The only ones who were at my mother's funeral was Vilma and a Philippine girl and her friend and me. And they cried so much. One of the workers told Vilma something that just broke my heart more than what it was already. They had broken my mother's leg as they placed her body in the coffin. They broke my 72-year-old mother's leg after all. It has made me bite my tongue as the anger in my heart arose. And I know in my heart, God of heaven was not pleased with what they did to my own mother. My mother had been through so much pain and suffering, and no one would help her except me and Vilma. Where was the respect? Where was it? Because they did not show the love and compassion of the Philippine heart. Because she suffered for 2 months. And while 4 doctors refused to come and help her, and they could have, she died in pain and a broken heart for the goodness that she showed the country. No one had any compassion or respect for her, and they broke her leg after all the good that she has done, and she never hurt anyone, and she loved the Philippines so much. But when I tried to arrange my mother's funeral together, but it was a shock. We didn't know what to do. The bureaucracy, the hassle, the delays running back and forth between the city hall and the health department. One would tell you one thing, another one would tell you something else, just back and forth, back and forth. We fought through all of it. Finally, on September the 26th of 2021, 3 weeks of keeping her body in a freezer. My mother was buried in Bag Bag Public Cemetery in Quezon City, Philippines. A 5-year lease runs out. What happens then? The lease expires in September 2026. We didn't know then what that would mean. They never told us nothing. Nothing. They never told us not one solitary thing. Nothing. Not one thing. Not one thing did they tell us. The last time I was at my mother's gravesite, something happened that I will never, ever forget as long as I live. There were 2 Philippine guards at that cemetery that day. One had an M16, the other one had a shotgun. And they were just doing their job, watching over the cemetery. And they helped me and Vilma find my the graveside of my mother because it'd been so long. As we had forgotten where it was. And we never had any information on a grave marker or what row or nothing. They never told us anything. I told him what happened to my mother. I told him how the funeral home broke her leg. I told him how 4 doctors that I asked for help and they refused to help her. I told him how no one helped except Vilma. Vilma was there with me at the grave that day. And she saw what happened next. Those 2 guards, those armed men just doing their job. They cried with me. They absolutely cried. They cried with me. And they prayed with me. Right there at my mother's gravesite. These 2 Philippine men prayed with me for my mother. They didn't have to do that. They were just guards. They didn't know me from anybody. They didn't know my mother. They just had a heart. They had compassion. Those 2 Philippine cemetery guards showed me more humanity than the 4 doctors did. They showed more humanity than the funeral home did when they broke her leg. They showed more humanity and compassion and caring more than the U.S. Embassy ever did. This is why I'm not giving up on the Philippine people. Because I know there are good people there. I met them personally, and I've seen it with my own eyes, and I will stand up for you always. These 2 guards at my mother's grave proved it to me. And I will never forget it as long as I live because I love the Philippines so much. I brought my mother there because of it. Now, while my mother was suffering for 2 months, I reached out to the U.S. Embassy in Manila for help. I sent them an email explaining everything in detail, and I told them my mother is a U.S. citizen, and she was born in January 1949, and she had been an American citizen for 72 years. She had never been outside the United States in her entire life until she come to the Philippines this time. And she was hurting and she was in pain and crying and she needed medical help really badly. Because the 4 doctors that I asked refused to help her and come to the house. And we needed desperately help. U.S. Embassy sent back an email and they said they could do nothing to help. Nothing. Not one thing now. No referrals, nothing. But everyone always told me to go to the U.S. Embassy. But they did not care. They did nothing to help my mother. Not one thing. Nothing. My mother was an American citizen dying in a foreign country, and they offered her nothing to help her. But she was down and needed their help, and her own embassy refused to help her because the ones working there at the time did not care. It was not their mother, it was mine. And they had no remorse, no compassion, no heart to care. I asked them, like I was supposed to do the right thing. I explained everything in the detail, everything. And they did nothing, not one thing, nothing. And on September the 6th, the saddest day of my entire life, my own mother died in my arms. And some people have no idea what this feels like. My mother was everything to me. She was chosen by God of heaven to give me life. And she was my best friend. And I could talk to her anytime, day or night, about anything that was troubling me. And she always was there for me. And I've always been there for her to protect her and to help her as well. I sent another email to the U.S. Embassy, and I told them my mother had just passed away. I asked them for help with a funeral home or help, and they sent an email back. You know what they told me? You have any idea? We send our condolences. That's it. Condolences. What good is that? My mother was a U.S. citizen who died in their jurisdiction, and all they could do was offer condolences in an email. I asked them twice for help for my mother, and they refused both times. Once when my mother needed medical help because we couldn't get it nowhere else, even though we had the money to pay them, but they wouldn't come to the house. And once after she died, and both times they refused. And those who worked there at the time did not offer no real help, nothing. I remember their names and met them, and I never forget what they said to me. Now, how would they feel if it was their own mother and it was done like this? And then you know what the U.S. Embassy did? Something worse than refusing to help me. They lied about me to the Philippine commissioner. The U.S. Embassy told the Philippine Bureau of Immigration that I was living off of my mother as my sole support. And that was a complete lie. Because I have a signed letter proving that when we sold the house in North Carolina in 2017, as we was planning to go to the Philippines, we split the money 50-50 between us. My mother had her money as she'd already retired from working and she was getting her SSI that she worked for so hard. And I had my money from saving from working and selling what belongings I had way before we went to the Philippines because we went to the flea market to sell our own personal stuff so we'd have extra money. My mother had her own Social Security income every month, and we were partners and we were equals. I wasn't living off of my mother. I was caring for her. I was watching out for my mother. She'd never been to the Philippines in her life. It was the first time she had ever been outside the United States in her entire life. But the U.S. Embassy lied to the Philippine government. Not only did the embassy fail to help my mother when she was on her deathbed, but then they turned around and lied about me to cover up their failure. Then they forced me, and no one helped me with nothing. And I do mean nothing at all. I did not have any help from anybody. Vilma could only do so much. God bless her soul. And she was right there with me through everything. And she was trying so hard And she was right there with me through everything and cried when my mother passed away. And she was right there. Now, my mother had never done anything wrong in her life. She always treated everyone with respect and kindness, even when others did her wrong, even her own family. We always had clean MBI reports every time we went to the Philippines immigration. We were guests in that country and we knew it. We weren't troublemakers. We didn't try to cause any conflict or trouble to anyone. Every time we renewed our immigration status at the MBI office, we passed because we didn't have no problems with no one. We followed every law and always was nice to everyone we met, from the people in the malls to the grab drivers to the cashiers at the store and the bakery where we got the bakery goods, even the street vendors on the street, and even to the homeless. We respected the Philippines and the people always. We did everything that we were supposed to do with love and respect to everyone. But the U.S. Embassy didn't care about my mother. And this is the truth. They didn't care none about helping her. And those who worked there at the time, they showed this to me personally. And I never done nothing wrong except go to them and ask them for help when I didn't have nowhere else to go. That was what they were supposed to do. But they didn't. And I didn't just accept this, and I won't, because what they did was so wrong. And I filed a complaint with, I have a case number, and I filed a complaint because the way me and my mother were treated, I'd done everything through the official channels that I can do. But you know, the government moves slowly, if it moves at all. And I don't have time to wait if they do anything at all. That's why I'm reaching out to you and letting you know. Because what they've done to me, they will do to you. Through all of this, one person stood by me with Vilma. It's the Philippine hospitality and the Philippine heart that I come to love to bring my mother there. She held my mother with me when she died. She cared and washed my mother. She cooked and fed her. She cried with me. She fought for us in every way. Velma knew how. There's certain family members are telling lies, and they're younger than Velma. Certain family members have told Velma she made a mistake with me. Things that are not true, like I caused my own mother's death, which I didn't. I did everything I could to prevent it. You see in the video. They have the wrong mindset, and they make Velma feel guilty because of Philippine culture and traditions. Because what I tell is the truth. How Velma's being treated hurts me more than anything else in this entire world. And she doesn't deserve this. She stood with me at my mother's grave when those two guards cried and prayed with us. A certain family make it hard on Velma through manipulation and control, which is not right in the sight of God. And my mother loved Velma so much. She did everything she could for Velma because she cared about her, and Velma loved my mother too. And they got along so good, as I showed you in the video. And she was there when I lost my mother. She was there at my lowest point, on my own, with no help from nobody, to the Quezon City Civil Registry to ask about the renewal of my mother's grave's lease. And you know what they said? This is the response I received in the email. They say renewal of the apartment contracts is no longer possible, as the cemetery has already reached full capacity. Can you believe that? Full capacity. My mother had been there for 5 years, but they will not let me keep her there. They gave me two options. Option one, transfer her remains to another cemetery in the Philippines. Option two, transfer her to a city owned crematorium. A crematorium is a place where they cremate the remains. You believe that they want me to cremate my own mother, my own flesh and blood that almost died having me? I will never, ever do this. This is not right to do this, never. And the guy at the funeral home advised me not to ever, ever do this to my own mother. My own mother went through enough pain and suffering. She suffered for 2 months. Why, 4 doctors that I asked and pleaded with to help her, and they wouldn't. And she died in my arms, and Vilma right beside of me. And it left a scar on me that I will never, ever forget. The funeral home broke her leg, and there was no excuse for them doing that to my mother. She had been through enough. I will not let them burn her. It's not the Christian way, and God of heaven does not allow this regardless of what anyone says about it. It is disrespect to the dead. My mother deserves to rest in peace, like God in heaven intended it to be. She deserves dignity. She deserves a proper burial in the Philippines, a place where she can stay forever in Bel Air Public Cemetery, where they do not have no release and they have no limits. And I want to transfer her there. The Philippines is a Catholic country. The Filipinos honor their dead and have respect for their loved ones who have passed on from this world. Every year, on All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day, families visit the thousands of cemeteries in the Philippines to honor their precious loved ones who have passed on from this world. They clean the graves, they bring flowers, and they pray, and they have honor and respect. They believe the dead deserves respect and dignity. And I feel the same identical way. I am no different. But picture this, my mother, an American citizen who came to the Philippines the first time in her entire life with hope and faith and trust, will be dug up and discarded like she's trash if I don't save her, since I'm her only voice and her son speaking up for her. Where's the honor in that? Where's the dignity? My mother deserves the same respect that the Filipinos give their loved ones and their family members. There's no difference. We all bleed red and we all hurt and cry and feel in the same identical way because number one, we are human beings created by God of heaven in his image. There is no difference between me and you. There is no difference between us. We are all created in the image of God. And we're supposed to love one another. Where's the love of them wanting to cremate my only mother? Where is that? That's not love. That is not love. Now I learned something painful during this experience. Some people like to hide behind the Philippine culture. They talk about compassion, but they showed me no compassion when my mother was dying and we needed help so badly. They talk about helping others, with compassion and love. But they refused to help us when we needed it the very most. They talk about respect for the elders and honoring the Lolas. But they broke my 72-year-old mother's leg after she died. Why did they treat my mother like that? She never done nothing wrong to anybody. They talk about honoring the dead, but they talk about cremation, which is so wrong in God's eyes. But they're going to dig up my mother's body and throw it away like it's a piece of garbage without my permission and without my consent. If I'm not present to stop this from happening, they hide behind Philippine culture, but they don't honor it. They use beautiful words, but their actions show something entirely different. But I've also personally met Filipinos who truly live these values and have hospitality and have compassion and hearts that care so much. The two guards at the cemetery who cried and prayed with me, and they didn't know me from no one. They didn't hide behind the culture. They lived it. And I've seen it with my own eyes and felt it deeply in my heart. That's why I'm here to talk about it now. They showed me what malasakit really means. They showed me what bayanihan really looks like. Those two armed guards just doing their job had more compassion than the poor doctors that I asked to come to the house to help my mother. They had more heart than the funeral home that broke my mother's leg. They had more humanity than the U.S. Embassy that refused to help my dying mother when she was hurt. and they refused to help her after she died. Those guards represented real Filipino hearts and what it truly means. And I never, ever forgot it. Not the doctors who refused to help my sweet mother on her bed when she was crying in pain and suffering and wanted help. And not the scammers who took advantage of us in that house every chance they got, even though the house was leaking. And we rented that house in faith and trust in them, and they took advantage of it. And not the funeral home that broke her leg. That was not right to treat my mother like that. That is no respect for the dead or the elders. But the people who truly have manasakit and a heart of compassion. And the only choice that I have is to transfer her remains to Bel Air, Aurora, Philippines, in a private cemetery there. A permanent place where she can rest forever like she's supposed to instead of being dug up and disrespected like they're trying to do to her in Quezon City. But I don't know how much it's going to cost. And it's very hard for me to find out since I don't know who to contact. But it's better to have enough. Have more than enough in case of surprises that may arise. Since I'm dealing with other people involved and I don't know what they're going to cost or what they will take advantage of me. I don't know. But I have to face this alone with faith in God of heaven every step of the way. I don't trust much anymore since I've lost my mother and watched what she went through. It's very hard for me to do that. My mother was everything to me. She almost died having me. So I have to honor her. And I'm asking for your help. Now I have to the end of August to get this done. So I'm pleading and I'm asking from my heart for your help. What happens if nobody has a heart of compassion and no one will help me? If I don't get there by then, they will dig up my mother's body and then dispose of it like it's nothing. to them without my consent or my permission. And this is so wrong, and it's not right in the sight of God of heaven. After everything she went through, while she was alive, after all the people that she trusted and they failed her, after she helped a Philippine girl who wanted to end her life, and my mother reached out. She didn't have to, but she had a heart of compassion and reached out to this Philippine girl to save her life because my mother thought she was worth it. And she's still alive today, going to school and everything. After she fed a homeless man there at Landmark, when everybody else turned away, my mother didn't. She had a heart of God and she helped him the best she could with what she had, but she had the heart. And after she was kind to everyone in the Philippines, and she obeyed every law, every rule, everything. It was kind to the guards at the malls and everything, and they was kind to her. She deserved better than this, not because she was my mother, because of the heart that she had. And she deserves to be honored just like your Lola and your mother. There is no different. They're both human beings. And I'm pleading with you to help my mother. She needs your help. And I know God is looking and he will reward you for helping. So I'm asking the Filipinos and the people of the Philippines who truly live these values each and every day of your life. Not the ones who just talk about them, but the ones who actually live them to help me. I am on your side 100%. This is your chance to show the world what Philippine values really mean. And I will help you every way. But I need you to help me. Show them that malasakit is not just a word, it's an action. Show them that by any hand, it's not just a story, it's real. Show them that the guards at the cemetery who cried with me and prayed with me represents the real Philippine heart to the world. And not the doctors who refused to come to the house when I begged and pleaded for them to come and help my mother before she died, and they refused. And not the scammers who we rented a house from in Tango Sador who took advantage of us and caused my mother a deep depression that she fell and couldn't get no help. And not the funeral home that broke her leg and did not show her no respect for the dead. Help me prove that Philippine culture is real. It's not just words, but actions to the whole wide world. The country that I love more than anything, the Philippines. The link to help is in the description below. Any amount helps. Whether it's $5 or $10 or $20 or $100. Give from the heart. Whatever you can give. Please share this video to get this message out to as many people as you can. Share it with people who believe in the compassion and the heart and the love of the Philippines. Share it with people who believe in Philippine family values are real. Share it with people who want to be like the guards and not the doctors or the scammers of the house. I'm not asking my own government for help anymore. I cannot trust them. They made it very clear they won't help. I'm asking you, the regular people, just like me, with hearts of compassion that care, to help. People who believe a mother is sacred and deserves dignity in life and in death because she's your mother and she's non replaceable. So I'm pleading with you to help me do what my own government would not do. Please help me save my mother from the destruction city. Help me move her to Bel Air, Aurora, Philippines, where she can rest in peace like she's supposed to. To the Philippine people who have good hearts, compassion, just like the guards cried with me and didn't even know me, but prayed with me and cried with me in that cemetery where my mother's buried. Thank you. Salamat po. To everyone watching who believes in compassion and has love in your heart and will help, thank you. Salamat po. My mother deserves so much better. Help me give it to her. Help me give it to her. Thank you. Salamat po. Parsa Akina for my mother. Salamat po. For my mother. She deserves better. The link to help is in the description below. Where it's $5 or $10 or $20 or $100. Give from the heart. Whatever you can give. Please share this video to get this message out to as many people as you can. Share it with people who believe in the compassion and the heart and the love of the Philippines. Share it with people who believe in Philippine family values are real. Share it with people who want to be like the guards and not the doctors or the scammers of the house. I'm not asking my own government for help anymore. I cannot trust them. They made it very clear they won't help. I'm asking you, the regular people, just like me, with hearts of compassion that care, to help. People who believe a mother is sacred and deserves dignity in life and in death because she's your mother and she's non-replaceable. So I'm pleading with you to help me do what my own government would not do. Please help me save my mother from the destruction city. Help me move her to Bel Air, Aurora, Philippines, where she can rest in peace like she's supposed to. My mother died in the Philippines after she was refused medical help. Now her grave will be dug up and destroyed unless I can save it by the end of August. Please help me now. The link is in the description.